Consciousness is a fickle thing. The gentle vibration of the car lulls me into a semi-dream state, where reality and nightmares blur. I drift between feeling safe and the paralyzing fear that Phoenix still has me. Alpha Renard's cruel words echo in my mind, and once, I swear I see Sister Miriam in my dreams. A voice cuts through the haze, clear, soothing, familiar. My eyelids flutter, and I become aware of strong arms cradling me, a steady heartbeat thrumming beneath my cheek. It feels wrong. Not Lucas. My vision clears enough to make out rugged features and concerned eyes. Kellen Ashbourne, Lucas's beta. Relief and confusion swirl together as he gazes down at me. Ava, he says softly, his voice like cool water on scorched skin. You're safe now. We're taking you to Westwood territory. Safe. That word feels fragile in my mind, too delicate to hold on to. Where? I try, but the word is slurred, my throat dry. We're in a small city, still on Blackwood land, Kellen explains, shifting me carefully. You're not safe here. We need to get you out. Everything hurts. My arms, my side, my head. I try to move but end up lying like a limp fish. I can move, I murmur, though I'm not entirely sure it's true. Kellen chuckles softly, though his worry doesn't fade. Try to rest. Alpha's leading the mission. He'll be back soon. Lucas. My heart aches at his absence. Where is he? Why isn't he here? Kellen places me on a makeshift bed of blankets in the stripped-down back of the vehicle. My body screams in protest, the pain sharp and unrelenting. I wince, my breath hissing through my teeth. You've been through a lot, Kellen murmurs, his hand lingering on my arm. But you'll be okay. I want to believe him. I need to believe him. A new voice reaches me, gentle, feminine. Hello, Luna. I'm Vanessa, a pack healer. I'm going to give you something for the pain. Can you understand me? Rest, I mumble, the word like a bomb. Yes, she soothes. You need rest. I feel the cold press of something against my arm, followed by a sharp pinch that makes me yelp. Vanessa murmurs apologies as dizziness sweeps over me like a crashing wave. I let it take me, the world slipping away. I wake to the sterile scent of disinfectant and the soft glow of daylight filtering through sheer curtains. The ceiling above me is white, dotted with a few dents and holes, details I fixate on as I come back to myself. Hospital. My head turns slowly, and I spot an 4-pole with clear bags of liquid hanging from it. There's a monitor nearby, bright lines dancing across the screen. SpO2, 99%. RA, 12. PR BPM, 61. BP, 109/63. Oxygen. Respiratory rate. Heart rate. Blood pressure. My brain sluggishly parses the numbers as I glance down at my arm, where the 4 connects. Not Aspen Lands. I'm somewhere else. Westwood. Kellen's words come back to me, and my shoulders sag with relief. I'm in Lucas's territory. I'm safe. The faint scent of campfire smoke reaches me, its warmth curling through my senses. I tug at the oversized shirt I'm wearing, recognizing the scent. Lucas. A pang of longing flares in my chest, but it's quickly drowned out by a sharp ache when I try to sit up. Pain tears through my side, and I clutch at the bandages wrapped beneath the shirt, groaning as I collapse back against the bed. Todd. The memory hits like a sledgehammer. His claws ripping into me. His fangs at my shoulders. I shudder, nausea twisting my stomach. I'm not made to fight. The door creaks open, and I flinch, my muscles tensing. A woman in scrubs steps in, dark hair pulled back into a neat ponytail. She pauses when she sees me awake, then offers a kind smile. Good morning, Luna, she says softly, her voice melodic. How are you feeling? I try to answer, but my throat is dry, the words refusing to come. She pours water from a pitcher and helps me sit just enough to sip. The cool liquid soothes my throat, and I manage a raspy, thank you. You're very welcome. She sets the glass down and introduces herself. I'm Vanessa, one of the pack healers here at Westwood. Westwood, the word settles over me again, grounding me. I am safe. Vanessa moves to check the monitor, her movements efficient but careful. Alpha Lucas will be in soon, she says gently. He's been worried about you. I nod faintly, exhaustion tugging at me again. For the first time in what feels like forever, I let my body relax. Lucas is close. I'm not alone. And for now, that's enough. Vanessa's face wrinkles in confusion, a furrow forming between her brows. I'd laugh at the expression if I weren't too concerned about her calling me by a title I shouldn't have. You're not our Luna, she asks carefully, as if it's something she's already been told. Has Lucas been spreading rumors that I'm his Luna? Presumptuous much? No, not a little presumptuous. Wildly presumptuous. It's hard to stay mad at someone who risked his life to save mine, but I manage to see the little as I shake my head. The motion spikes the throbbing ache in my face, so I stop, holding up a weak hand instead. No. I'm not. Vanessa's gaze flits from the top of my head, down my body, and lingers on the bandaged side of my neck. She looks skeptical, and I take the moment to study her. She's soft and pretty, with doe-like eyes and a face that makes her look like she could shift into something small and fluffy, like a rabbit. Or maybe a red panda. Can wolves shift into red pandas? I don't think so, but the thought distracts me long enough for her next question to throw me completely off guard. But you are Lucas's mate, aren't you? My throat tightens, and I drop my gaze to the quilt covering my legs. It's not the kind of blanket you'd find in a sterile hospital room. It looks handmade, soft and worn. Between this and the oversized shirt I'm wearing, I can tell someone went out of their way to make me comfortable. I know who. Yes, I say quietly, I suppose. But? Vanessa prompts, leaning forward as if my hesitance is the most interesting thing she's heard all day. I steel myself, inhaling slowly. He rejected me. Months ago. The words sting as they always do, but my voice doesn't waver, and I cling to that small victory. It's not my fault. He rejected me. That's his problem, not mine. Vanessa looks thoughtful, amused even, but doesn't press. Instead, she forces a professional smile and gently peels back the shirt, revealing the bandages across my midsection. I flinch as she touches my side, the memory of Todd's claws slicing through my skin surging back like a wave of nausea. These wounds were deep. Claw marks, she explains, fingers tracing lightly along the edges of the bandages. And the others, she gestures to my face and shoulders. Teeth. I nod stiffly, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. The phantom sensation of teeth sinking into my flesh is still there, lurking just beneath my skin. Vanessa's expression darkens. There was widespread infection, rapid, aggressive. You had a fever for 2 days. Your heart stopped once on the way here. My stomach drops. Sea-coated. I croak. She grimaces. Briefly. You were unconscious. Her face softens. You're lucky. We stabilized you just in time. You're welcome, by the way, it was some of my best work. I try to smile, but it feels weak, and Vanessa gives me a knowing look before shifting back into her professional tone. You're on antibiotics through your 4 right now. We'll adjust once your cultures come back. I nod faintly, though her words blur together in my exhausted mind. The point is that I'm alive. Somehow. In bad news, Vanessa continues, your accelerated healing hasn't kicked in. We thought Alpha Lucas's scent might help, but if you aren't mated, she trails off delicately. My cheeks burn, and I pluck at a loose thread in the quilt that doesn't actually exist. His scent doesn't help me heal, but it calms me down. Vanessa nods knowingly. I get that. My mate's scent works like a natural Xanax. I manage a faint smile as she begins explaining the treatment plan, something about open wounds and frequent dressing changes. I cling to her gentle voice, focusing on it instead of the memories threatening to drag me down. The door swings open suddenly, slamming against the wall. I jump, hissing as pain jolts through my body. A tall, slender man strides into the room, a white coat billowing behind him. He doesn't even look at me, flipping through the chart in his hands with an air of casual disdain. Vanessa, he snaps, his voice sharp. Still coddling patients instead of doing your job properly, I see. Vanessa bristles. Dr. Ellison, she replies icily. I'm caring for our guest. Guest asterisk? His voice drips with condescension as he finally looks at me. His gaze rakes over my bandaged form like I'm a particularly distasteful insect. She's a Blackwood. I'd think your efforts would be better spent on patients who matter. The barb hits harder than I'd like to admit. I open my mouth to protest, but Vanessa beats me to it. She's Alpha Westwood's mate, Vanessa says, her voice hard. Show some respect. Dr. Ellison pauses, eyebrows shooting up as he turns a critical gaze on me again. His mate. His lip curls, the disbelief clear in every line of his expression. Where's the mating mark, Vanessa? Don't be so gullible. My face flushes with equal parts embarrassment and anger. I turn my head away, heart hammering in my chest. This guy. Vanessa stands straighter, her voice like steel. That's not your concern, Doctor. Dr. Ellison scoffs, flipping the chart closed. Fine. Waste your time. Just don't let it interfere with your real work. With that, he turns and strides out of the room, the door snapping shut behind him. Vanessa mutters something under her breath, but I don't ask. My heart still racing, my mind reeling. Lucas's mate. The words cling to me, heavy and suffocating. He rejected me. Why does no one get that? But deep down I know why. Because he came for me. And that, more than anything, terrifies me.
Hey everyone, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy the audiobooks, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support us further, consider becoming a Patreon member. As a member, you'll gain the ability to request the next part of a novel audiobook I've uploaded, depending on your Patreon tier.
I brace myself as the rude doctor turns his attention fully on me. His eyes are cold, assessing, and I feel stripped bare under his clinical gaze. Ava Grey, he says, no longer even pretending to look at my chart. His tone is cold. He's a frigid man of ice, and I want to take a pickaxe to chip him into tiny little ice pieces that I throw into the toilet. I straighten my back as best I can around the pain, lifting my chin as high as it can go with the bandages and pain. I refuse to be looked down on by some asshole with a superiority complex. I had that enough from my own pack. His lip curls into a slight sneer. Let's get one thing straight. You're getting far more care and attention than you deserve, but you're stable, and you'll be on your way to recovery soon enough. You can thank me for that later, I shoot Vanessa an incredulous glance, and she rolls her eyes and shakes her head.
1316.
83 Ava, Dr. Ellison's disregard. Yeah, that's what I thought. He's just taking the credit for all the work she's put in. I can remember now, her soft voice just before I lost consciousness. She was in the car with me, wasn't she? Where was this guy? Probably at home, drinking some wine and browsing some sort of medical journal. He looks at Vanessa too, but his face is full of disdain. Honestly, I don't know why we're wasting resources on a Blackwood mutt. The insult stings, but I force myself to keep my expression neutral. I won't give him the satisfaction of
a reaction.
Turning back to me, he levels me with a scrutinizing stare. Tell me, are you a shifter or a human? Your scent varies too much for me to be certain. I hate having to tell him anything, but he is the doctor providing care, so I answer. Reluctantly, and only with the partial truth.
I'm unable to shift.
His lip curls in a sneer of disgust, and he shakes his head.
Figures. A human pet.
One of the Blackwood Alpha's play toys, I bet. That's enough to Ellison, Vanaga in Torianta. 83 Ava, Dr. Ellison's disregard. Professional despite the ice lining her words. I won't have you speaking to my patient that way. He waves a dismissive hand at her. Save your fake niceties for someone who cares, Vanessa. This one isn't worth the effort.
Miss Grey, you'll be just fine.
Antibiotics, pain meds.
That's all you need.
Broth if you're hungry. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an actual job to do. Anger flushes Vanessa's cheeks bright red as Dr. Ellison walks away. Her hands are clenched into fists at her sides. If life was a cartoon, steam would be coming out of her ears. It warms my heart with a feeling that's a little ticklish and uncomfortable, like a wool blanket. Comfortable and cozy, until the itch begins. Vanessa takes a deep breath before turning to face me, an apologetic look on her face.
Ava, I'm so sorry.
His behavior was completely unacceptable. I'm going to report him to Alpha Lucas immediately. I can guarantee you that kind of disrespect and cruelty won't be tolerated. My heart sinks at the thought of causing any more. 13.16. 83 Ava, Dr. Ellison's disregard. Trouble or conflict. I've already put Lucas and his pack through so much just by existing. The last thing I want is to be a burden or a source of drama. Reaching out, I grab Vanessa's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze.
Please, don't report him on my account.
I don't want to cause any more friction or problems. Vanessa's brow furrows, and she looks at me with a mixture of confusion and concern. Ava, why wouldn't you want to stand up for yourself? You have Alpha Lucas on your side now. He'll make sure you're treated with the respect you deserve. Her words catch me off guard, and I find myself at a loss for how to respond. It's true that Lucas risked everything to rescue me from the Blackwood pack, but aside from feeling immense gratitude, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel about him. Does him saving me really change the dynamic
between us?
He made it clear at the Lunar Gala that he wanted nothing to do with me. And even if he's had a change of heart, I'm still just me. An outcast in my own pack.
A shifter who can't shift.
It feels like a lifetime ago now that he was trying to.
1310.
83 Ava, Dr. Ellison's disregard. Reconnect with me in Cedarwood. I hadn't been ready for that then either. Full of suspicion, which seems to be my default. The logic of my own reasoning rings false now. It makes no sense at all. Lucas went to incredible lengths to get me out of that hellish situation. He put his own life on the line for me. He lost one of his men to rescue me. Surely that has to mean something. It isn't that his rejection should be erased, but he's been apologizing since he found me in Cedarwood. Is it okay to take his change of heart at face value? Not necessarily to accept it all and walk into this connection without a second thought, but to give him a chance at starting over? And yet my paranoia simmers beneath it all, questioning why he would change.
Why, for someone like me?
Content Bell 0 NGS to N0 VE/Ldra/Mada OAG. After a lifetime of being treated like a burden, like a source of embarrassment and shame, it's hard to shake those deeply ingrained feelings of unworthiness. 83 Ava, Dr. Ellison's disregard. I look up at Vanessa, searching for the right words to explain the tangled mess of emotions swirling inside me. I don't know, I admit, my voice barely above a whisper. Vanessa's worry is present in her knitted brows and pursed lips. I'll suggest therapy along with your physical injuries. I'm sure there's a lot you aren't telling me. Having no ability to shift in a pack like Blackwood must have been, her voice trails off. Well, we have some great therapists. No one like Dr. Ellison, and I'm sure he won't be here much longer once Alpha Lucas hears about this. Dr. Ellison never appears before me again. My new doctor is an older woman who smells like a mix of raw meat and chocolate chip cookies. Like a bunny, slaughtering, chubby grandma. It's an odd mix that makes my nose wrinkle a little. Good morning, Miss Grey, she greets me, her voice gentle and sweet, belying her stocky frame. It only adds to the Disney grandma effect, still with a side of vicious killer. I'm Dr. Anais Beaumont, and I'll be taking over your care from now on. She moves closer, and I flinch without thinking, tensing at her approach. The rational part of my mind knows she's here to help. But after the disastrous encounter with Dr. Ellison, I can't shake the sense of unease that settles in the pit of my stomach. I don't want to be touched by people who hate me. Dr. Beaumont seems to notice my apprehension, knitting her brows together as she watches me. I've heard of your issues with Dr. Ellison. He's well known. See 84 Ava, Doctor's Care. To be a bit of a problem child. Too big for his britches after heading off to university. No need to worry, dear. I don't care what pack you're from. I'm just going to check your vitals and take a look at those wounds, make sure everything is healing properly. Of course. All important things a normal doctor would. Do. I force myself to relax a little beneath her ministrations. She leans over with another whiff of bloody cookie grandma scent, her fingers surprisingly deft as they press against my wrist to check for my pulse. Her gentle, almost maternal touch is unfamiliar to me. Your heart rate is a little elevated, she murmurs, more to herself than to me. But that's to be expected, given the circumstances. She peruses the monitor beside my bed, clucking her tongue at my blood pressure. That should go up with some medication changes, she says, before launching into a casual story about how her daughter had spent a day in the hospital the other day because of a grandchild, a toddler, who'd been ill from some sort. 84 Ava, Doctor's Care. Of tummy bug, horrifying all the shifter parents at daycare. Turns out, she'd eaten something she shouldn't, and there was no horrifying epidemic taking down little pups in the pack. Despite my initial reservations, I find myself drawn in by her soothing cadence, the tension slowly ebbing from my body as she works, carefully checking every wound on my face and neck before replacing each dressing. The first glimpse of the ragged wounds on my abdomen, angry and raw, has my breath catching in my throat. Vivid memories of the fight with Todd flash through my mind, and I have to squeeze my eyes shut to block out the images. Easy now, Dr. Beaumont murmurs, her voice a gentle anchor pulling me back to the present. Just focus on my voice, Ava. You're safe here. I force my eyes open, fixing my gaze on her face as she carefully peels back the soiled dressings. Her expression is one of calm professionalism, betraying none of the revulsion I would expect at the sight of my mangled flesh. 84 Ava, Doctor's Care. These are healing nicely, she comments, her fingers ghosting over the edges of the wounds, just shy of touching them. They cleaned it up well. We'll need to keep them clean and change the dressings regularly, but you're on the mend. I know it probably looks awful to you, but it looks good. Dr. Beaumont works in silence for a few minutes, her movements sure and efficient as she applies fresh dressings to my wounds. When she's finished, she steps back, giving me an appraising look that makes me feel like I'm being evaluated on more than just my physical state. You've been through quite an ordeal, haven't you, dear? She says at last, her voice laced with sympathy. But you're a fighter, I can see that. And with the right help, you'll come through this stronger than ever. I open my mouth to respond, but she holds up a hand, effectively silencing me. No need to say anything now, she says with a shake of her head. Just rest and heal, Miss Grey. We'll have plenty of time to talk later. I'm going to reduce the frequency of your pain medication, and now that you're awake, I'll have you swallow them as pills instead.
84 Ava, doctor's care.
Of giving them through the 4. I nod, because she pauses as though she's waiting for my input. We run labs morning and evening, just to make sure everything's going well. Our healer, Vanessa, seems quite taken with you, so she'll be checking on you daily. Most of our healers are on par with doctors, but without the required licensing of the government. I'm not sure how it was in your old pack, but here we work together. We're going to keep your antibiotics through 4 for now, but you'll be able to go home on the pill form. Do you have any questions? I shake my head, flummoxed by her no-nonsense summarization of my care.
Okay.
If you need anything, your call light is
Not. Here.
Dr. Beaumont takes a moment to check. Around my bed, picking it up from behind it.
Somewhere on the floor. Here.
Nurses are around all day and night, as I'm sure you're aware. If you have any more questions, let them know, and I or my colleagues can come chat with you, okay? Yes, ma'am, I murmur, as she fluffs a pillow behind my 141.
84 Ava, doctor's care.
Head before patting my knee. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm going to put in an order for a clear liquid diet. So, Jello, broth, apple juice, you can place an order at dinner through the phone, which is also not here. Damn it. Irritation flickers across that matronly face, and I can see a hint of the wolf beneath. They should have had this room prepped as if you were already conscious. My apologies, Miss Grey. Here's your phone, and again, let us know if you need anything at all.
Ah.
She snaps her fingers. Make sure to get up and moving if you can. It helps with healing, and if you can get out of bed, we can get you off the
Catheter.
catheter. I blink and lift the blanket, peering between my legs.
Yep.
Not sure how I managed to miss that.
Ha.
No wonder I didn't feel full to bursting the moment I woke up. Content copyright exclusive by no/vel, dra/ma.org. Dr. Beaumont is gone by the time I look back up, and a nurse peeks her head in the door.
She looks frazzled.
Lucas strides into the room from behind the wearied
Nurse.
His presence is much as I remember, like a lion surveying his territory, confident in his domination over everything in his sight.
This is the Alpha.
Even after everything that's happened, the sight of him still sends a ripple of attraction and unease through me, a reminder of our complicated history. But this time, there's a huge part of me that wants to dash over and lift my head, baring my neck to him. To roll and rub against him with whimpers of submission. I shove that part deep into a dark hole inside of me and close the fucking door. Lucas moves with such fluid grace, despite his towering height. He's at least 6'3", rivaling Alpha Renard's imposing ability to loom. His hair is tousled, falling into a loose mess around his face and shoulders, and judging by the dark circles beneath his amber eyes, he's been up all night.
85 Ava, Lucas visits.
And speaking of his eyes, I try to avoid them, but it's like there's a force that pulls me into his gaze. It's different from any time before. At the gala, they'd burned with desire and curiosity. In Cedarwood, there was always an aching longing in their depths.
Today?
They're intense, smoldering with rage that wars with relief. His jaw is clenched, his face set in a way that I'd have expected him to be a grim reaper instead of a visitor. But his brow settles out of its deep furrow and relaxes a little when he sees me, and the wrinkles around his eyes relax. As he approaches my bedside, I can't help but lean toward him, into the scent of campfire smoke and something smooth and sensual beneath. A dizzying fragrance that has my heart yearning toward him. It should be comforting, but it sets me on edge as I try to pull myself back, waking myself from the brief intoxication with the man that the fates have deigned
to mate me too.
It's startling to realize I'm not angry with him anymore. I guess that's what happens when you get rescued. Before you're wiped from the world's history. Less than 85 Ava, Lucas visits.
Book.
Hi, I say, because he's too busy staring at me to talk.
Are you okay?
Some of the stress fades from his face as he grabs the doctor's stool and takes a seat next to my bed. His gaze lingers on the bandages on my face and neck, before sliding down to my abdomen. His fingers twitch, and he links his hands in his lap. It's a casual gesture, but somehow I know he's fighting his urge to reach out and touch me.
It's cute. I'm fine.
As long as I don't move around, I don't hurt too much. Thank you for changing my doctor. He grunts, shifting on the tiny stool. Ellison's a good doctor, but a shit person.
I blink.
Honestly, I'd have never guessed in a million years that he's actually good at what he's supposed to do. I figured his personality bled into his talent.
Oh. He's been warned.
He won't bother you again.
I nod, not sure how to respond.
Even if he's taken care of, there will be other wolves with a similar mindset. I'm not stupid enough to think they can all be taken. This is from noveldrama.org.
1317.
85 Ava Lucas visits. Care of so easily. Thank you for coming for me. The blanket is soft between my fingers, easy to twist. I can't meet Lucas' gaze as I struggle to convey my grateful feelings. I didn't know what to do. He does reach out then, one of his hands dwarfing both of mine, quelling the anxious tugging of fabric.
I'll always come for you, Ava.
No matter how things go between us. My fingers still, quiet beneath the warmth of his hands. There's a gentle thrill that goes through me at our touch, a comfort I can get only from his proximity. One of the reasons I wasn't angry when I learned he was breaking into his apartment is because of this. His scent brings a sense of security, even with bad
memories.
His intense stare burns into the side of my face, and I shift uncomfortably beneath the weight of his regard. After a few moments of silence, I pull one of my hands away from his and bring it up to touch my hair, which must look terrible after everything I've been through.
1317. C. 85 Ava, Lucas visits.
Stop looking at me like that. I must look terrible. Lucas chuckles, the rich sound sending a shiver down my spine.
You're gorgeous, Ava. Even now.
I chance a glance at him, searching his expression for any hint of mockery. But his amber eyes are warm with sincerity, a real smile softening his face.
Even his eyes
are crinkled at the corners. A real smile is always seen in the eyes. My breath catches in my throat as I take in the rugged angles of his face, the way his dark hair falls in tousled waves around those high cheekbones. Even bruised and bandaged as I am, something in his gaze makes me feel beautiful in a way I've never experienced before. Not even with Clayton, but I shove that guilt down, not ready to deal with those thoughts right now. Heat blooms in my cheeks and I lower my gaze, fiddling with the blanket again.
You don't have to say that.
I'm not just saying it, Lucas counters, his deep voice tinged with gentle amusement.
I mean it, Ava.
You're the most beautiful woman I've ever laid eyes on.
85 Ava, Lucas visits.
Even knowing that it's just the mate bond talking, it warms my body from inside out, like a heating pad against the wounds of my heart. A faint smile is desperate to curve my lips, and I struggle against it.
Be cool, Ava. Calm. Detached. Professional.
You are not going to sit here and flirt with the man who rejected you. You're strong and independent, and you can stand on your own 2 feet. I take a deep breath at my pep talk and look at Lucas, repeating my mantra to myself in my head. Too bad Celine isn't here.
She'd help with that.
How did you find me? His expression sobers, the lightness in his eyes dimming. He still has a hand over mine, and he links our fingers together in an absent gesture as he talks.
It wasn't easy, he admits.
After you disappeared from Cedarwood, I tried everything to track you down. But it was like you'd vanished into thin air. His jaw tightens, a muscle ticking with repressed emotion. I knew it had to be the work of your pack, but I couldn't prove it.
Not at first. I swallow hard. 13.17. 85 Ava, Lucas visits. Shit.
I should probably explain what really happened. But how will he respond when he learns about Clayton? The warmth of our linked fingers burn my skin with 1,000 unspoken accusations that prickle at my
conscience. I didn't stop looking.
I had scouts in the area, keeping an eye on your father's home as much as they could, but we've historically had a problem keeping any scouts alive in Blackwood territory. We escalated the issues we had, brought our problems to council trying to escalate the situation so we could infiltrate.
It took
a long time before we got the evidence we needed. I hated it, but I couldn't risk a war with the council without anything to back up my actions. As Lucas recounts his efforts to find me, I can't help but tune out, stressing over the secrets that I never felt were secrets at the time. Now, with this fragile peace between us, after he sacrificed in order to save me, it seems like a pretty fucking shitty move to say nothing, no matter how innocent it was.
I should tell him.
I know I should.
86 Ava, missed timing.
But the words catch in my throat, tangled with a web of emotions I can't seem to untangle. How will he react when he learns that I sought refuge from my heat with another alpha? Will he see it as a betrayal?
A violation of our fated bond?
When Celine and I spoke, it seemed so simple. He rejected me, so he has no right to be upset.
Now?
With his fingers linked through mine? With me alive here, in his territory? The thought of losing his trust, of shattering the fragile connection that's blooming between us, fills me with dread. And yet, keeping secrets from him feels like a disservice to what he's done for me. I take a deep breath, steeling my resolve. Lucas, there's something I need to tell you about. His phone rings, the sudden sound shattering the moment like a rock through a glass window. Lucas frowns, glancing at the screen.
Shit. It's Kellen. Hold on, Ava, I have to take this.
I'll be right back. His hand squeezes mine in a casual intimacy that.
11:22. See.
86 Ava missed timing.
Breaks my heart. I force a smile. Of course. Go ahead.
As he steps away to answer the call, I can't help but berate myself for taking too damn long. Stupid, stupid, stupid. This is going to end up being a cancer that ruins us.
It isn't hard.
Hey Lucas, I happen to have an insane heat and I kind of went crazy, and some alpha helped
Me out in hard times. See? Easy.
Pulling my knees to my chest, I rest my forehead against them and breathe long, slow breaths as my abdomen protests the movement.
Relax.
You can do this. It won't shatter everything. Lucas will understand. This isn't going to be a repeat of the night of the gala. He won't think you're disgusting. He won't think you're a cheater. Content copyright provided by NovelDrama.org. You'll still be accepted for who you are.
It's okay, Ava. BG Ava, missed timing.
Everything's going to be fine. My anxiety lessens with repeated controlled breathing. I settle into the silence with my eyes closed, concentrating on the rhythm of oxygen filling my lungs, and the soft exhale each time. I wonder if my breath stinks. That would be embarrassing.
I should brush them.
The sensation of a hand brushing against my
hair
startles me out of my forced peace. At first, my body tenses, until it catches up to my brain and the welcome scent of campfire.
I'm safe.
It's just Lucas. Nothing's going to happen to me here. Turning my head, I lean my cheek against my knees and glance up at Lucas. His face is so gentle that my heart aches, and I curse my past self for taking our connection so lightly. Granted, the man rejected me, and how was I supposed to know that he'd rescue me in the future? But shit would be a hell of a lot easier right now if I didn't have to worry about telling him I'd lost my virginity to an alpha from a different Naok.
13:27.
86 Ava missed timing. An alpha who wants me to stay his mate.
Who has no idea I'm safe. Damn. I didn't think about that.
I should get a phone call in, after I let Lucas know of his existence.
Fuck.
I was not equipped for this level of romantic entanglement in my life. I am not prepared.
Not trained.
I haven't read enough romance novels. I need to do some serious research on this. Hey, he murmurs, his brows furrowing with concern. I guess my panic is showing. You okay?
I stare up at him.
The sunlight beaming through the window halos his dark hair, highlighting the gold in his eyes. He's so beautiful it hurts.
Yeah, I'm okay.
My voice is a bit throaty, and I clear it with a little cough. I was just giving myself a pep talk, because his phone rings again, the sound like a blade slicing through the moment, decapitating what courage I had managed to muster. Lucas glances at it with a torn expression. Indecision wars on his face before he sighs and leans down to prono o Irian against my forehand in line arrow.
A his. 86 Ava, missed timing.
Soft, the caress achingly tender. Whatever it is that's worrying you, we can talk about it.
I promise.
But I have to take care of something first. I feel guilty at the relief that floods through me, but I
nod and force a smile. Go ahead. But there's
something important we need to discuss when you get back. I'll be here, he assures me, his eyes serious as they hold mine.
We can get through anything, Ava.
If you just give me a chance, I'll make up for everything. Everything. Emotion clogs my throat, strangling me with the intensity of it.
Unable to speak, I simply nod.
Lucas smiles, the curve of his lips gentle and understanding. And then he's turning, striding out of the room with a purposeful gait. I watch him go, my heart a tangled mess in my chest. The click of the door closing behind him is like a period at the end of a sentence.
Alone again.
I blow out a shaky breath and rub my hands over my face when I realize something.
86 Ava, missed timing. My necklace. My ring.
I grab at my fingers, which are naked. Then my neck, covered in bandages.
Nothing. Fuck. Fuck. Fuck.
Every damn time I enter a hospital, panic has me looking around the room, as if they would just be sitting somewhere. It's most likely that someone took my jewelry off when I was brought in. My gaze falls upon the various wires and tubes tethering me to the bed. A thin four-line snakes its way into the crook of my elbow, delivering fluids and medication. A catheter bag hangs from the side of the bed, freeing me from any need for the bathroom. All great, until I need to get up and look for something. Son of a bitch. There's a wheeled table for meals, but all it has is some paperwork that seems to be welcoming me to the hospital. Does anyone even read those things? Panic is well on its way to blowing its top inside of my head and setting off a full-scale anxiety attack. My eyes dart from the nightstand to the small closet, but there's no sign of my jewelry anywhere. I keep trying to fiddle with a ring that is no longer on my finger, and it's driving me crazy.
87 Ava, missing again.
Finally, I remember the call light. With a trembling finger, I depress the button. Seconds feel like an eternity as I wait, my mind racing with possibilities. What if they were lost in the woods during the attack? I hadn't stopped to see if they'd fallen off. If they're all the way out there, how the hell do I get them back? I don't know a lot about Lucas, but I know alphas. He'd never let me go back there, and it would be impossible to explain how important the jewelry is. I can't just tell him that they're used to keep my power hidden. The gentle click of the door opening draws my attention, and a kind-faced nurse steps into the room. She's older, and smells of human and rubbing alcohol.
Did you press your call light, dear?
My necklace and ring, I blurt out, struggling to keep my voice calm despite the desperation seeping into it.
I can't find them anywhere.
Do you know what happened to them? The nurse's expression softens with understanding. I'm afraid I wasn't here when you were first admitted. 17 AUS Mozeni Joan.
Sweetheart.
But let me check with the security team. It's standard procedure to put any valuables in a safety box, especially when the patient isn't conscious. Relief washes over me at her words, and I nod gratefully.
Thank you.
Those items mean so much too.
1. Me. Of course, dear.
I'll be right back.
Now to wait.
Lean back against the pillows, my fingers idly tracing the bandages wrapped around my neck. Memories of the past few days flood my mind, the terror, the pain, the overwhelming sense of liberation.
And my mate.
The word still feels foreign, even as it ignites a flicker
of warmth within me. So much has happened.
It's hard to think that a few short weeks ago, I was indignant at his presence in Cedarwood, thinking the worst of him as he tried to show me he cared. Am I caving too soon? But even if I'm willing to give him a chance, nothing can happen until I talk to him.
87 Ava, missing again. And even then,
there are other secrets.
Like my powers. And Celine.
It feels like there are 1,000 reasons against reconnecting with Lucas. Waiting is an exercise in patience. I drum my fingers against the quilt, because I have no ring to twirl. Every steady beat from the machines around me only amplifies the anxious, never-ending cycle of worry taking over my mind. Without my necklace and ring, what will happen to
me?
At what point will the people around me recognize that I'm different?
How soon before I hit another heat?
So far, there are no signs, but I just had my heat a few weeks ago with Clayton. Will my powers begin to manifest against my will? The gentle creak of the door opening forces me out of the vicious cycle of questions with no answers, and I feel hope rise in me, only to be dashed a moment later by the look on the nurse's face.
87 Ava, missing again. I'm so sorry, dear, she says.
The security team hasn't called back yet. It might take some time. A knot of worry bounces around in my belly, like a hyperactive raccoon. Thank you for letting me know. In the meantime, why don't we get you up and moving a bit? She suggests brightly, even as she approaches with a no-nonsense gait, her eyes already on all the cords keeping me in place. It'll be good for your recovery. It isn't really a question, but an order in that way nurses do. With a gentle touch, she flips the blanket off my legs and helps me wiggle over to the edge of the bed, her movements careful and deliberate. A sharp twinge of pain stabs through my abdomen as I swing my legs
over the side, and I wince.
Deep breaths, the nurse coaches, steadying me with a hand on my back.
One step at a time.
Hold on, let me get you some socks. I breathe as directed, waiting for the wave of pain to recede as she opens a clear package of giant yellow socks. They have little rubbery circles on the bottom.
87 Ava, missing again.
Probably to keep me from slipping. Leaning my body forward, I ease my feet against the floor. It's tile, yet the cold doesn't reach through the thick fabric now snuggling my feet. They aren't cute, but right now, I love them more than anything I've ever worn. Cold floors are the worst to
walk on.
The nurse hooks the catheter bag onto the four-pole, and I grip the metal rod for support as I heave myself into a standing position, taking in deep gasps of air as I fight against the pain racking my body from such an
ambitious movement.
That's it, she encourages. Now let's try a few steps. Lady, I feel like I'm dying.
Give me a second.
But the words can't come out, because I'm too busy heaving air into my lungs as best as I can. She waits without pushing me, and I lean onto the giant pole. Without it, I'm going to fall on my ass, and they'll probably need to bring a second person in to get me off the floor. My entire body is weak and shaking with the effort of 87 Ava missing, again. Moving. I'm in awe of how quickly strength can't disappear. Hasn't it only been 2 days in bed? Your body's been through a lot, the nurse says, still upbeat and perky as she speaks. She doesn't meet my eyes, too busy watching me, with one hand hovering just in front of me, in case I need to be saved. You had a lot of blood loss and required a few units of blood to be transfused over the past couple days. Your anemia is severe, and you're still fighting a strong infection, even though it's under control with antibiotics. Give yourself some grace. I feel like I've been in a coma for a year and am learning to walk again, I mutter between steps. Each one is agonizing, and sweat pops out of every pore on all text copyright noveled, r.a.ma.org. Faced with the effort I'm giving to these few steps across the room, I push through the pain with sheer
force of will.
We make it to the bathroom door, a sad triumph for someone who's been walking since she was a toddler, and each step is a little easier, as though I've warmed up my joints and muscles. It still hurts like hell though. 1173.
vs.
Less than 87 Ava, missing again. Step by step, I make my way around the small room. The nurse hovering nearby, ready to offer assistance if needed. You're doing great, she praises, with that professionally reassuring voice. A weak smile is the best I can manage as I pant with the exertion. As I complete another lap around the room, the nurse gently guides me back to the bed. That's enough for now. I'll let the doctor know how you did. I'm sure we'll be pulling your catheter tonight if you can keep this up. One less thing tying you down, right? Sinking onto the mattress, I let out a shaky exhale, my body trembling with fatigue. The pain is still there, a constant throb informing me of my bad decisions. After the awkward experience of a catheter removal, a few hobbling walks to the bathroom, a round of pain medication, and an unappetizing dinner of salty yet tasteless beef broth brought to my room from the cafeteria, which was little more than hot water and bouillon, but I digress. I fall asleep with no word from Lucas, watching the light wane from my window. When my eyes flutter open again, the room is dark, with a faint hint of moonlight relieving the shadows. There's the steady beeping of monitors and the muffled sound of activity in the hall, but otherwise, my room is silent and still. My heart's racing, but I didn't have a nightmare. Something prickles against my skin, an awareness of someone in the room. Lucas is asleep in the recliner beside my bed. His features are relaxed, the usual intensity gone from his expression in rest. I study him in the low light, taking in the dark stubble along his jaw, the way his dark lashes fan across his cheekbones.
88 Ava, by her side.
Despite everything that's happened between us, his presence is a comfort and a balm to my heart, broken time and time again by the people who should love me
the most.
Here he is, keeping vigil by my bedside. The gesture speaks volumes, and I can't help but dream of a future with my fated mate. A future I'd given up after that night at the gala. As if sensing my gaze, Lucas stirs, his eyes fluttering open. For a heartbeat, our eyes lock, and the world seems to narrow to just the two of us. He smiles immediately, the kind where your eyes crinkle up and get small because your cheeks are lifted higher than the sky.
My heart thumps hard.
It's his fangirl. Hey, he says in that just woke up, groggy voice that should be a sin to have with a face that lovely. Hey, I respond, smooth as fucking butter.
Okay.
I really need to get my hands on some romance novels. I bet the heroines in those know how to react when a hot man has his eyes on her. I heard you had a good day.
He straightens in his 88 Ava, by her side.
Chair, stretching out his arms, then his back. I watch every movement like a stalker. I can see his muscles rippling below the shirt hugging his torso. Why are shifter men so built?
It's unfair. Honestly.
I say, pulling my eyes away with some reluctance when I see the satisfaction in his eyes. He's happy to know I'm attracted to him, but I'm not ready to bring that dynamic into this equation. There's so much to talk through, so much to deal with. And I'm just not ready. I want to be ready, but I know I'm not. There's too many secrets.
I need Celine.
I need to call my friend again, I say, changing the subject for my health. No one wants to think about their possible future mate getting a catheter taken out. Gross. I'm sure she's worried about me.
Lisa?
Yes.
She's quite the friend.
My phone has blown up with more questions than I have answers to. She should be arriving in a couple more days. 88 Ava by her side.
Arriving? Already?
Lucas laughs, a soft sound as his eyes soften. She's very motivated to see you, from what I can tell. In her words, you really freaked her out.
Ha. Yeah, I can see that.
The corner of my lip twitches. She's a great person. I'm a little scared to have her visit. She won't do any damage.
I pause. Physically.
Not physically, but... I tilt my head thinking. Have any single friends? His eyes shudder immediately. Why? His word comes out strained, as though he's doing his best to be calm and polite and recognize that he has no right to lord his possessiveness over me. Well, Lisa is a bit of a butterfly. I'm not really sure how to explain her. Everyone tends to follow her
around.
Lucas' bunched shoulders relax, and he crosses his legs, casual as can be, as if he hadn't been fighting some base urges just seconds before.
Oh, I see. I'd.
1373. 88 Ava by her side. Hope my men are capable of controlling themselves.
Around a human. I nod.
I'd hope so too. She makes killer cookies.
They're doomed, eh?
His absolute deadpan delivery has me laughing so hard my abdomen aches.
Ow.
I groan through peals of laughter, holding up a hand when Lucas stands.
I'm fine. It just, ow. Fuck. Okay. Ow. Shit. Haha. Oh man. I'm sorry. That was really funny to me for some reason.
Because of cookies? He asks, confused. No, just, oh never mind. Wiping tears from my eyes, I readjust myself until I'm comfortable again. It was just funny, thinking of Lisa being the downfall of your pack, seducing all your men with a plate full of chocolate chip cookies.
That's all. I see.
His quirked brow says he doesn't see it all, but that's okay. I don't need him to. I sigh, leaning against my pillows.
When does she fly? In.
Her plane arrives Wednesday at 9:07 a.m., he reports.
88 Ava, by her side.
The information memorized. I've already set her up in a nearby hotel, and have a car ready for her if she needs one. She will be treated as an honored guest during her stay, and if she wishes to stay long-term, here his words go hesitant. Well, we can help her with a transfer to the university in the city if she needs it, he finally finishes, looking off to the side. There's a faint blush on his cheeks.
He's embarrassed.
Is it from the actions he's taken to take care of her, or is it because he's worried he went too far assuming I'm going to stay here? Either way, I smile.
Thank you, Lucas. It really means a lot. Of course, Ava.
He does meet my gaze now, the blush fading and his eyes direct and calm.
I told you before.
I'll do anything. I want you to understand how much I regret my actions before. I won't ever let you hurt again. All text copyright noveled, R.A.Ma.org. I glance away from Lucas, unable to hold his intense gaze. My heart sinks like a stone, the weight of the secrets I've kept pressing down on me. It isn't even like I've been keeping them on purpose, but I feel like a she-wolf caught cheating on her mate. And yet no matter how innocent it was at the time, no matter what state our mate connection was in, these are the types of secrets that can bury our relationship before it ever starts. Honesty is the best policy. Better to get it all out in the open, even if he rejects me again. Even if he formally rejects me. Last time the rejection was implied, this time. I shudder at the thought and take a deep, steadying breath, trying to psych myself up. I have to talk about my stay with the Aspen pack.
About Clayton.
I'll have to explain about my heat, too. As soon as I gather an ounce of courage, Lucas' phone rings again. I groan audibly, the sound ripping from my throat before I can stop it. Are you serious?
It's the
1324C. 89 Ava, a mild overreaction.
Middle of the night.
Who the hell calls someone in the middle of the night? Lucas brows furrow in apology, clearly thinking I'm upset that he's taking calls during our conversation. I'm sorry, it will only be a moment. No, I rush to assure him, waving a hand. That's not it at all. I trail off, unsure of how to explain. He leans forward to kiss my forehead. Apparently, this is something he's going to do often. I don't mind it, but it doesn't quite feel like we're at that point yet. I really need to talk to him.
I'm sorry, Ava.
This is another alpha. I'll be right back.
Go. I wave him off.
It isn't like I don't understand the weight of such a call. But then he utters words that make my blood run cold. Hey Clayton, is everything okay?
I'm frozen.
I'm a frozen glacier of wolfless shifter, stuck on the 89 Ava, a mild overreaction. Hospital bed, staring at the back of my faded mate as he walks out the door, talking on the phone with my
what? My lover?
He's not my lover. We had sex, yes.
Lots of sex. Oh, and I might be pregnant.
Which?
I don't think I am.
Because wouldn't they have checked that already? Shit, I'm going to have to somehow discreetly inquire.
About this. Novel drama or copyright content. No, not discreet.
I need to tell Lucas now, Because he's going to find out anyway. Why is Clayton calling him? Does he know who I am? Is he wanting me back? Shit. My breath catches in my throat as anxiety grabs me by the neck, squeezing as hard as it can. Clayton. Of all the worst timing that could ever happen. 89 Ava, a mild overreaction. I stare at the door, closed behind Lucas. He's already in the hall, talking to the man who saw all of me, naked as the day I was born. The man who took the virginity that should have been saved for my mate. Oh fuck. I'm dizzy with all the emotions and thoughts dashing through my head, back and forth without end. What on earth could they be talking about for so long? Why isn't Lucas back in here, raging? No, wait, maybe it isn't my Clayton. No, not my Clayton. Aspen's Clayton. Maybe it's some other Clayton. Hell, the name Clayton doesn't even sound real anymore, after repeating it so many times in a row. Maybe he doesn't exist at all, and my time in Washington was just a figment of my imagination. Ha! Wouldn't that be nice? God, I'm getting loopy. I'm starting to think ridiculous. 89 Ava, a mild overreaction. Thoughts, all because of panic. Breathe, Ava. Breathe and prepare for the conversation. Lucas will give you a chance to explain. You're not in Blackwood anymore. Curling my knees to my chest, I hug them tightly and practice deep breathing, filling my lungs as best as I can. In through my nose, out through my mouth. Slow and steady. I close my eyes, trying to focus solely on the rhythm of my breath. My heart's rhythm is loud in my ears, almost headache-inducing, the pulsing whoosh so strong that I can feel it echoing through my entire body. The anxious thoughts continue. Clayton. Lucas. What they could be discussing. What Lucas will say or do when he finds out the truth. Magicians and lichens. Celine. In. Out. In. Out. Spiraling into a panic attack isn't an option. I'm a grown woman. I can handle a situation like this. Life isn't always going to be roses. It never was before, and it's not going to be now. 1324. B0 Ava, a mild overreaction. When Lucas returns, he'll give me a chance to explain myself fully. My breathing begins to even out as I concentrate on the simple act of inhaling and exhaling. The tension in my shoulders releases its grip. In. Out. In. Out. The sound of footsteps in the hallway brings anxiety flaring up inside of me, but I soothe its presence with a few more cycles of breathing as Lucas steps into the room, his phone no longer pressed to his ear. When he gets closer, I turn my head to peek at him through the hair that's fallen over my shoulder. He looks perturbed and thoughtful, which brings up my hope meter by a drastic amount. I'm so sorry to do this, Ava, but I'm going to have to leave, he says, coming out of fucking nowhere with. That one. Leave? I ask, flummoxed. Why leave? We have a conversation that needs to be had. He scratches at his hair with a groan. So, I haven't told you everything yet. 1324. Ava, a mild overreaction, my heart rate skyrockets. Shit. It never occurred to me that Lucas would have his own secrets. Is it another girl? Did he choose another mate? Is there a real Luna in his pack? Fuck. How could I ever think that he wouldn't have chosen a mate himself? After everything that happened with Clayton, I should have assumed it would be the case. I try to keep the tears out of my eyes, but by the blurring of my vision, I can tell it isn't working well. I pull off my glasses, setting them on the nightstand as I rub my eyes, trying to wipe away the tears before he notices. Wait, Ava, are you crying? Fandom. Lucas. Only half my attention is on the information Clayton's passing me. The rest of it is on the bandaged little wolf just beyond the door. Her scent has been changing daily, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. It isn't a bad change, but it's different. Add that to the way she blew up when my phone rang, and I'm starting to get a little worried that I haven't been around for her during such a traumatic time. She'd been kidnapped, even if it was by her own family, and then viciously attacked after trying to run away. On top of it all, she has a mate that was stupid enough to reject her. I'm sure she has no idea how much she can rely on me, and I can't blame her for being so evasive with her affection. We've made progress, but I keep pushing my luck, touching her, kissing her forehead, sniffing around her when I think she doesn't notice. Lucas? Are you still there? Clayton's voice cuts through my distracted haze. L.A. 90 Lucas worries. Yes, I'm here. I pinch the bridge of my nose, halting my pacing in the hospital corridor. My obsession with Ava is becoming problematic, but my wolf is irritated that I took any focus from my brain onto anything else. If it was up to him, we'd be glued to her side until our mating mark was a year old on her neck. You need to focus, Clayton admonishes, his words laced with an edge I rarely hear from him. This situation demands our full attention. I nod, even though he can't see me. He flew in to help manage the Blackwood pack, and I ditched him to see Ava in the hospital. He deserves my full attention. Clayton's too good of a friend for me to be distracted over my personal issues.
You're right. Go ahead.
Clayton's voice takes on a grim quality. We've received reports of increased rogue activity in the area. It appears they may be mobilizing for an attack. Renard and the entire Grey family is still missing, along with a few other players from the pack. Our scouts are of the opinion that these rogues are working for Renard in some way, and might even be connected with the unregistered.
We've yet to locate 90 Lucas. Worries.
Any connections with either of them, but we aren't done looking. A low growl rumbles in my chest. The mere mention of Renard and Ava's shitty family ignites a simmering fury within me. After what they've done to her, I won't rest until they're all corpses. And Grace. She's still in the hospital. All treatment has been withdrawn, and they're keeping an eye on her.
So far, she's stable, but still in a coma.
If she doesn't wake up soon, she'll die of dehydration before the wolfsbane gets her.
Good.
I have no remorse over this. The bitch deserves that and more. I only wish she was awake for the pain. How are we dealing with the situation with the rogues? For now, we're trying to gather more intelligence, Clayton responds, his tone even and measured. But we need to be prepared to defend.
The real problem, of course,
is internal, I finish for him, running a frazzled hand.
1324. 90 Lucas worries. Through my hair. I know. We don't know if we can
trust them not to rise against us while we're defending.
Against anyone. There are two schools of thought. Imprison everyone. Or let the chips fall where they may. There are pros and cons to both.
Property copyright noveldrama.org. I growl in frustration. Yes, there are pros and cons to both, but only one of them ensures that our men are
safe.
To me, everyone in the Blackwood pack is worthless. The decision is easy.
Imprison all of them.
They should be grateful I didn't raze them to the ground the first night. If anyone struggles, kill them. Don't you think that's a little harsh?
Clayton suggests.
The council might side with you on the evidence, but they aren't going to approve of outright tyranny and
murder.
It isn't murder when you kill the enemy. They've surrendered, he points out, ever the voice of
reason. 1324. 90 Lucas worries. Fuck reason.
I don't care if they're all dead.
But Ava might.
She's soft, even with everything she's been through.
I sigh.
I'll fly out tomorrow. Between us, we might get a decent idea of who the real troublemakers are. We both excel at interrogation.
Thanks. Don't thank me.
I'm the one in your debt. I frown, wondering why Clayton's been so damn
weird.
Almost squirrely, even.
We'll see about that. All right.
Get your ass back here so we can figure shit out. Is your mate doing okay? I nod, even though he can't see me.
Yeah. She woke up this morning.
She's doing pretty good, all things considered. I hate having to leave her though. Should have thought of that before you decided to take over the entire goddamn pack, Westwood.
Shut up, Aspen.
He's not wrong though. I'll get everything settled here and let her know I'll be gone.
13.24.
90 Lucas worries.
For a while.
Fucking politics gets in the way of everything. I pause, realizing that he's been there for me this entire time instead of looking for his own mate. Hey, did you find your mate?
Ah. Yeah, I did. Good.
Since he doesn't volunteer any details, I don't pry. We don't do that kind of shit.
All right, man. Thanks again.
I'll see you in the morning. I need to go.
Talk to Ava.
He hesitates a beat too long for it to be normal, and I wonder again what's wrong with the fucking guy.
Okay.
Take care of your mate, Lucas. He hangs up on that abrupt note, and I stare at my phone bemused, before shrugging it off and heading back inside. Ava's got her face on her knees.
Is she asleep?
Her breathing is slow and even, but it doesn't look
comfortable.
When I approach, she turns her head and I can see those oversized glasses and her giant blue eyes, peeking at me through the dark blonde hair that I love. It's like silk against my fingers.
1220. 90 Lucas worries. Plus 37.
I hate that I have to leave her again so soon.
Fuck politics.
I'm so sorry to do this, Ava, but I'm going to have to.
Leave. Leave, she asks, stunned. Her face is pale. Of course.
She must think I'm trying to keep away from her on purpose. I haven't told her any details about the takeover, about how her family and Renard ran off when they realized they were outmatched. I scratch at my hair, groaning. I have no idea how she's going to take this. So, I haven't told you everything yet. If I thought her face was pale just moments ago, now I realize how wrong I am. Every drop of color drains, and she sways despite being seated on the bed. I watch as she stares off, before suddenly taking off her glasses and putting them to the side. Is she going to go to sleep? Is this the famous cold shoulder? But then she rubs her eyes, and something glistens against her skin. All my thoughts circle into some sort of insane melodrama right out of Celine's favorite TV show, and I slap my hands against my face, rubbing hard against my cheeks, as though I can push the tears right back into my eyes. Sorry, I say, as Lucas rests a worried hand against my back, stroking me like you would pet a puppy. It's cute. He doesn't seem to know what to do with me, while I'm just grateful that he's trying. Once I'm sure my tears are gone, I smile up at him. I'm just frazzled. You've been through a lot. Did I upset you when I took the phone call? No. The word bursts from me in horror. Does he think I'm that kind of person who gets upset when he has to do important things instead of watching me sit in a hospital bed? Not at all. He blows out a breath in what I'm sure is massive relief. No one wants a mate that high maintenance. Are you upset that I have to leave? DE 91 Ava, clearing the air 1. I cringe. It isn't that. I just came to some insane levels of assumptions. Why do you have to go? Ah. Now he looks uncomfortable, and takes a seat on my bed, grabbing my hand. Oh God. This can't be good. Once we were safe, Kellen, my beta, led a force of my men into the heart of the Blackwood pack. I must not look devastated enough, because he clarifies, in an act of war. Since he seems to want some sort of input from me, I nod to show that I'm following. Unfortunately, in the chaos, your family and Alpha Renard escaped, but the territory is under our control. I nod again. We took over your pack, he says, as if I'm not understanding. I heard you. I tilt my head. I don't care what happens to them. Too bad all the important people escaped. Your mother is in the hospital. She's in critical condition due to the wolfsbane I injected her with. 91 Ava, clearing the air 1. I think I'm probably supposed to feel a lot of things right now. Like sadness, anxiety, worry, or other emotions that would be applicable to a good daughter. Instead, there's a huge demon of vengeance in my soul that is happy at his words. Oh, I say, because I don't want to show my possible future mate that I'm a raging psychopath. He's treating me so carefully as he tells me all these things, and not a single one has me fazed. Lucas reaches for my hand, sliding his rough fingers between mine. He must think I need comfort, and I'm not sure how to break it to him. I have to go because there's a lot of work to be done. We are working on disavowing every wolf from the Blackwood pack and integrating them into ours, or letting them go as rogues. I'll be back every few days. Right now, another alpha is helping me keep things in control over there, but I can't just let other people do my work for me, even if I want to stay here. He looks agonized, and I don't resist the urge to reach out and rub the lines on his brow. You'll do great, I assure him. But before you go, I have to tell you. 91 Ava, clearing the air 1. Something. My stomach twists. The other alpha must be Clayton, that's why he called. Maybe Clayton doesn't realize who I am yet, but they'll figure it out soon. I have to head this off before he goes. Lucas checks his watch. I only have a few minutes. There's a flight tonight that I have to make. A few minutes is all I need. I just need you to promise to listen without getting too upset. His hand tenses, but his face is admirably calm with my words. Whatever you have to tell me, don't worry, Ava. I won't think less of you. His words seem odd, but I don't have time to worry about them. When I was taken from Cedarwood, it wasn't by my family. Surprise has his fingers going slack against mine, and his brows come together in thought. No? Then who? I take a deep breath. There were some rogues in Cedarwood who caught my scent. I was going into heat -01 Ava, clearing the air 1. How can you go into heat without a wolf? Lucas asks. And I freeze. How do you know about that? His eyes meet mine, unwavering. At the gala, I'd been under the impression you were working with your family, with the alpha of your pack. So that's why he looked at me with such intense hatred. After the gala, I looked into you. It took us a long time to get someone into the pack to get the information, but I heard that you were wolfless and not treated well because of it. There's regret all over his face, and his thumb rubs over the back of my hand, over and over in silent contrition. I'm so sorry, Ava. If I had just kept my head out of my ass, I would have brought you back with me that night. You would have been safe. I was so focused on how I felt about your alpha that I didn't stop to think that I should have trusted in my fated mate. I looked down, guilt stabbing into me with even more.
Famia.
91 Ava, clearing the air 1. The past is the past, I murmur, shoving aside memories of the deep pain that ached in my chest every day for months. Yes, he agrees, with such relief that tears come to my
eyes.
I hope he's as fervent about this once I get the
words out. So,
I was going into heat, and some rogues found me. They kidnapped me off the street, calling me an
Omega.
Lucas leans forward, taking in a deep whiff of my scent with a frown.
Omega? A true Omega?
You've never smelled like one. In fact, aside from smelling like all the wolves you surround yourself with, you never smelled much like a shifter at all. Something I should have recognized earlier.
I shrug.
Apparently, I smell like one when I'm in heat. Property copyright noveldrama.org. He nods, accepting this without comment. Being wolfless means nothing makes sense. How did you get away? I was in the car with them, and the local pack ran us off the road. I had a few injuries and was brought to their pack hospital.
13 to 27.
91 Ava, clearing the air 1. Wait, the local pack, Aspen? He stiffens, suspicion finally dawning.
I squeeze his hand.
They had no idea who I was. I only gave them my first name.
But, I went into a severe heat.
It was affecting everyone around me. He doesn't withdraw his hand, but it goes slack, his face expressionless, and he begins to truly process my words. His eyes go for my neck, but everything is covered beneath bandages. My stomach churns, and I get through the rest of the words as quickly as I can. My heat was uncontrollable, and I had sex with the alpha there. He took care of me, and Phoenix kidnapped me when I was shopping with his sister. No, we aren't mated, but we aren't strangers either.
There. It's out.
I peek at Lucas to see his reaction, but he's just sitting there, his eyes unfocused. It's obvious that he's taking some time to process everything. My eyes drop to our linked hands, and I wonder if I should pull away before he does. Ha, he says, and squeezes my fingers. Of all the responses I'd been expecting, that one isn't on my list.
Lucas.
13.27c. 92 Ava, clearing the air 2. He smiles at me, a lopsided little one. I'm going to need a little time to process all this. I don't understand how you can go into heat without a wolf, for one. But I'm not angry, Ava. I narrow my eyes in suspicion. That doesn't seem right.
To XX. He sighs. I'm disappointed.
In the situation, in how I put you there. In the way things could have gone but didn't, because of me. I'm angry at myself, and I have. About things a bit.
But I'm not upset with you, Ava.
I don't want to leave with you thinking that this changes anything on my end. He lifts our linked hands to his lips, pressing a soft kiss against my knuckles that has my belly fluttering. I know that you haven't chosen us yet. I know that there's a lot more that you haven't told me. I know that I fucked up. And I'm not going to do it again, not when you're right here.
I've already lost you twice.
I'll never let it happen again. Do you understand? His golden eyes are intense. Despite the roughness to his voice, his words are calm and unhurried as he speaks. 92 Ava, clearing the air 2.
I nod.
Thank you, I whisper, finally feeling some of the stress ease from my body. He isn't angry with me. I might have to punch Clayton for touching what's mine though.
I wasn't, he didn't dash. It's a joke, Ava.
But he doesn't really sound like he's joking, so I stare at
him in doubt.
He sighs, and kisses my fingers again.
Ava.
I fucked up, right?
I nod.
Are you willing to give me a chance? Belongs to novel/drama.org.
I nod again.
I'm not expecting anything to happen overnight. I know that we're both pushed together by this bond, but I want more than that. I want you heart and soul, with everything inside of you begging to be mine. I want to know that you would choose me even if there. 92 Ava, clearing the air 2.
Was no bond between us.
I want there to be no questions, no secrets and no regrets. His words send a quiver of longing straight through my body, and tears to my eyes. I can't have that if I'm going to run around like a feral wolf, snarling about how some other guy touched my mate. I'm the one who lost the right to call you that. I'm the one who pushed you into a situation where you were alone, vulnerable, and in heat.
I'm the one who
deserves all the anger.
Okay.
I nod as a tear escapes, feeling a little like a puppet on a string. I don't know how else to respond except to nod mindlessly at his words.
I hurt you. I hurt you a lot.
You need to have your chance to be angry with me. Don't feel obligated toward us, just because I took you out of that place. I want more than obligation toward our fate, Ava. I want your love. I can feel warmth flushing into my cheeks as he presses another kiss against my fingers, before turning my hand over to nuzzle his mouth against my open palm.
13.27.
92 Ava clearing the air too. His words are sweet, but his actions are stirring a desire that's far from innocent.
Lucas dash.
Sure, his tongue darts out to taste my skin, and his groan sends quivers straight into the very core of me. I shift beneath the blanket, wondering how we've gone from emotional admissions 2 seconds ago to this. I'm not going to push you, he murmurs against my skin, pressing kiss after kiss into my palm. But if I want to keep that promise, I'm going to have to walk away from you right now.
Fuck.
My wolf is going insane.
He doesn't want to talk anymore.
He's been crazy about you since the beginning. I reach out with my other hand, gently touching his disheveled hair.
Don't go yet.
There's a yellow glint in his amber eyes. His wolf is here, straining for control. Lucas nips at my wrist, pulling back with a sigh, and I feel empty with the extra space between us. He hasn't even kissed me properly, and I'm this much of a mess. I'll try to loan him in control, he mutter, and I shall. 92 Ava, clearing the air too.
My head. It's fine.
Our bond is always going to be there. I don't want it influencing you into something you're unhappy with. Confusion has me tilting my head. Isn't it influencing you too then by your own logic? He growls and leans forward, slamming his mouth against mine in a rough and desperate kiss. Letting desire loose is a relief on my heart, and I open my lips against the invasion of his tongue without a moment of hesitation, sliding my hands through his hair with a
soft moan of assent.
It's a rough kiss, a claiming one, that suddenly softens its approach as his brain catches up to his mate instincts. Pecking soft kisses against my lips, which already feel swollen, he murmurs my name over and over, like a priest to prayer. I nuzzle against him, ignoring the pain in my abdomen as I try to get closer. Ava, he says again on a soft sigh, pressing tiny kisses against the corners of my mouth. I don't care if I'm influenced. I'll never have enough of you.
Never don't.
92 Ava, clearing the air too. Doubt me for a second. I'll happily be enslaved to our bond for the rest of my life. There are no regrets for me, as long as you're here.
Lucas. Challenge him. Rip him apart.
My wolf snarling has occupied the majority of my short flight to White Peak, getting closer to the man who's tasted my mate in ways that he never should have. My phone's off, because I don't know what I'll do if he
calls.
The primal part of me is incensed, wanting to sink my teeth into his throat and tear it out, savoring every drop of the blood that spurts, content in knowing his soul has departed this world. But the rest of me recognizes that Clayton is my friend and ally. What am I supposed to do with all these fucking feelings tripping me up inside? Having Ava back is supposed to make everything easier.
Make things simple.
This content copyright 2024 noveldrama.org. In my absence, will she begin to doubt my words? 15.20. 93 Lucas with Clayton. If she sees Clayton, would she choose me over him? I don't have that confidence. The fated bond between us is my only advantage. That, and the distance I can maintain between her and the alpha I trust with the honor of my entire pack. I can never let her return to Cedarwood. There's no way in hell I'll lose the little advantage I have. As the plane touches down, I take a deep breath, trying to center myself. I know Clayton will be waiting at the airport to personally escort me to the Blackwood Packlands. I can't let him see the turmoil raging inside me. I have to maintain control. Even knowing that, it's a losing battle. Every step I take through the terminal feels like a countdown to an inevitable confrontation. My wolf paces restlessly beneath my skin, eager for blood. I clench my fists, my nails digging into my palms as I fight to keep the shift at bay.
Mine, my wolf growls. She is ours. No one else can have her. 11:28. 93 Lucas, with Clayton.
To him, Clayton is nothing more than competition. My wolf may look at other alphas with respect, but he never looks at them with friendship. Even so, he usually knows better than to attack another alpha.
Down, I snap.
There's nothing to be done. She is not our mate yet. We can't piss her off if we want a chance.
With her.
His growls in the back of my head tell me that he's unsatisfied with my reasoning, but he stops snapping for Clayton's blood, giving me some reprieve from all the unsettled emotions swirling in my head.
Fuck this shit.
Even dealing with Blackwood was easier than all the bullshit I have to deal with in my head and
hot.
The stench of the airport crowds my nostrils as I exit the terminal, an overwhelming assault on my sensitive nose. Sweat, perfume, fast food, it all mingles into a nauseating miasma that makes me want to gag. But beneath it all, one scent stands out, instantly putting my wolf on high alert.
Clayton. 13:20. 93. Lucas, with Clayton.
He touched our mate, my wolf snarls, hackles raising.
He needs to pay.
Shut it, I growl back, wrestling my primal side under.
Control.
We can't afford to lose it now. Gritting my teeth, I approach Clayton, schooling my features into a mask of calm. But as our eyes meet, I can see it in his face, in the tense set of his shoulders.
He knows.
He knows who Ava is to me.
Lucas, he greets, his voice tight.
Clayton, I respond, his name feeling like gravel in my mouth. Anger flares hot in my veins, the urge to lash out, to demand answers, nearly overwhelming.
Why her? Why did it have to be her?
But I force the rage down, swallowing the bitter accusations. We have more pressing matters to attend to. The Blackwood situation demands our full
attention.
We make our way to the car in strained silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy between us. As we pull out onto the highway, heading away from White Peak, the tension only grows.
13.28.
03 Lucas, with Clayton.
I can't take it anymore.
Why didn't you tell me? I ask, my voice deceptively calm. As soon as you found out, why didn't you call
me?
Clayton sighs, his grip tightening on the steering
wheel.
I only just found out myself. I came as soon as I could to help here, because I felt we would need to talk about it in person.
Help.
The word feels like a slap in the face. Like he isn't here to get a chance to see her.
Like he has any right to be involved in Ava's life. Fuck.
Jealousy, that fickle little bitch, just won't stop. Clayton really is here to help. He's been helping this entire time, hasn't he? There's no point trying to assign ulterior motives to his actions. We can't get past this situation if I'm going to be like this. He touched her, my wolf growls again, the memory of Ava's confession ringing in my ears. He had his hands on what's ours. I close my eyes, fighting back the shift that threatens to overtake me. I can't lose control.
Not here, not now.
Ian Rocinto, you coming to Holm with Blackwood? 13:20.
93 Lucas, with Clayton.
Force out, the words tasting like ash on my tongue. But Ava is my responsibility.
My mate.
I'll handle things with her myself. Clayton glances over at me, something unreadable flickering in his eyes.
She's not marked, Lucas.
You know as well as I do that until she bears your bite, she's fair game. A low growl rumbles in my chest, my wolf clawing at the inside of my skin, desperate to break free.
Mine, he snarls. She's mine.
She's my fated, I snap, my control slipping. I won't let anyone else have her. Not even you. The words hang in the air between us, heavy with implication. Clayton's jaw clenches, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. That choice is for her to make. I have no intention of interfering, but I won't step back if she wants something else, Lucas. My mate, my wolf snarls in my head. My jaw aches from grinding my teeth together, my fingers aching as they've been clenched into fists too long. Every instinct screams to lash out to put Clayton. 93 Lucas with Clayton
in his place.
To make it clear that Ava is mine.
But I can't.
Not if I want any chance with her. We won't let him have a chance, I promise my wolf.
We'll keep her close.
Make her ours in every way that matters. My wolf settles slightly at that, appeased by the vow. I take a deep breath, trying to rein in my temper. Clayton's right, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. The rest of the drive passes in suffocating silence, the miles stretching out like an endless chasm. By the time we reach White Peak, my nerves are frayed to the breaking point, my wolf pacing restlessly beneath my
skin. 3 nights.
3 lonely, empty nights staring at the sterile hospital ceiling. Only Lucas' voice on the phone breaks up the monotony, checking in on me each evening. I hate how much comfort I draw from hearing the deep, soothing rumble of his voice, hate that I keep glancing at the clock, waiting for his call. Life is hard without Celine here. She would be able to help me work through these feelings. Separate what's me from the demands of my fate bond. Beyond that, she would have kept me entertained with her wry
observations.
Dr. Beaumont had mentioned this morning that it seemed as though my rate of healing was increasing. Her confusion over it nags at me. Is Celine getting closer? After the car accident, I noticed my wounds knitting together faster once she returned. I'd assumed it was from my heat, but perhaps.
Miss Gray.
I look up to see the nurse peeking around my door, a
hesitant smile on her face. You have a visitor. 13-28. 94 Ava Lisa, 1. Visitor?
I stare at her in confusion. Lucas is still away dealing with pack politics, and he would have called first anyway. My mind races, trying to figure out who it could possibly be, when a blur of
motion pushes past. The nurse. Ava. Lise.
I barely have time to process what's happening before she's flinging her arms around me, squeezing me so tightly it borders on painful.
Ow, careful. Sorry.
She loosens her grip immediately, leaning back to look at me. Her eyes are shining with unshed tears. I was just so worried about you.
God, Ava, what happened? Are you okay?
Lucas called me, but he didn't explain much beyond you being in the hospital. The worry and gentle nagging in her words, the way her eyes dart over my body, the way her hands flutter and hover over me as if she's not sure where to touch. First, it all brings tears to my eyes.
I hiccup. Then I sob. Then I swoon. C. 94 Ava Lisa, 1.
No, it's not weeping. Weeping implies a woman who cries in silence, shoulders maybe trembling a little. Weeping is a beautiful art, an act that's painted in somber colors, touching all who view it.
I'm just sobbing,
Wailing.
blubbering,
All three, all at once, in a sniffling mess of noise and
tears. Lisa's here.
I'm no longer alone. Lisa is on my side, always. Lisa will never judge. Lisa won't force me to choose. She hugs me through it all, as I soak her shoulder in grief and terror.
She doesn't ask, I don't offer.
Right now, it's all about the release of all these emotions I've held onto.
04 AV, 1.
Celine isn't here, but at least I have Lisa.
My Lisa.
It feels like eternity before I'm finally calm. My eyes burn, sore and swollen with the force of my sobbing, and my head aches. Lisa takes a tissue and wipes the tears from my face, pushing my hair behind my ears. All of her actions are maternal and loving, and I find myself wondering how many kids she'll have in the future. She says she wants to go into business, but I see her as a teacher more
than anything. Or a mom. Or both.
Long story, yeah? Lisa says, her question more a statement than anything.
I nod.
Do you want to talk about it?
I nod again. I do.
I want to talk to someone who can listen to it all. Trying to figure out where to begin has me confused. I've told her some things over time, but this is
94 Ava Lisa, 1. Different. She's here. She's in front of me. We can talk.
In depths that we couldn't manage over text messages and infrequent phone calls. I swallow hard, trying to figure out where to even begin. So much has happened in such a short time. It's a long story, I say weakly. Lisa settles onto the edge of the bed, grabbing my
hand. I've got time. And so I tell her everything.
From the moment I left Beaniverse to my failed attempt at running away and being kidnapped by my family. I talk about the discovery of my fated mate bond with Lucas, even though she's heard it before. I talk about Celine and her cryptic remarks. I talk about Clayton and my time in the Aspen Pack. And finally, I talk about my rescue and the events that led to me being here, in this hospital bed. By the time I finish, Lisa gapes at me, her eyes wide with shock.
Holy shit, Avenue. That's a lot.
Yeah, I agree with a shaky laugh. It's been a wild ride. And you're what, some kind of special shifter?
With
04 Ava Lisa, 1. A fated mate bond to the alpha of the Westwood Pack. Lisa shakes her head in disbelief.
This is insane.
Tell me about it, I mutter. It still doesn't feel real, even to me. When I summarize it like I did, it feels like so much has happened, straight out of one of Celine's trash TV dramas. Lisa squeezes my hand, her expression softening. I'm just glad you're okay. Well, mostly okay, she amends, glancing at my bandaged wounds. Lucas said you were pretty badly hurt. I nod, wincing at the memory of Todd's attack.
Yeah, it was bad.
But I'm healing. Faster than I should be, apparently.
Good.
Lisa's voice is fierce. Because as soon as you're better, I'm going to kick your ass for scaring me like that. Running off without a word, getting yourself kidnapped and mauled, she
shakes her head again.
Don't ever do that again, you hear me?
I won't, I promise. And I mean it.
I never want to go through anything like that ever again. We lapse into silence for a moment, just holding on to
94 Ava, Lisa, 1. Each other.
It's a comfort, having Lisa here. A piece of normalcy in the midst of all this chaos. Novel drama, org holds text copyright rights. So, Lisa says eventually, a mischievous glint in her eye. Tell me more about this Lucas guy. Is he as hot as he sounds on the phone? I can't help but laugh, even as a blush heats my cheeks.
Lise. What?
I'm just asking.
She grins at me. Come on, spill.
I want all the dirty details. And just like that, it's almost like old times. Gossiping and giggling like young girls without responsibilities. Like we're in an apartment instead of a hospital room. Like we're drinking wine instead of asking for little cartons of apple juice from the nurse. For a little while, I can almost forget about the supernatural drama that's taken over my life.
Almost.
A light tapping at my door pulls us out of our giggling. "Come in," I call out, wiping the last of my tears away. I'm sure my eyes are red and puffy, but I can't find it in
me to care.
Dr. Beaumont steps into the room, her smile gentle as she takes in the sight of us huddled together on the bed. Well now, isn't this a pretty picture? For the past few days, Dr. Beaumont has been
thorough in my care.
I've come to enjoy her visits, even if they're just for work. She's respectful to both nurses and patients, and doesn't treat me with the odd deference like some of the nurses do. Everyone knows I'm their alpha's fated mate, even the humans. Few seem to understand that we aren't in a relationship, though. It is interesting to see how many humans think of Lucas as their alpha, though. I'm used to a distinct difference between shifter and human, even in the Aspen territory. Here, there are humans working alongside shifters, and they even interact with each.
33.29.
95 Ava Lisa, 2.
Other.
Just yesterday I heard a shifter nurse talking to a human doctor about her mate's desires for shifted sex, something I've known about but never heard talked about, and the human hadn't been scandalized. She'd even asked questions. Maybe she watches the same show Celine does. TV is great for normalizing things.
"Lisa, this is Dr. Beaumont.
She's been taking care of me." I introduce them, watching as they shake hands.
"It's a pleasure to meet you, Lisa."
Dr. Beaumont's eyes twinkle. "I must say, a little company has really helped. Our Ava here look a lot better." That has to be a lie. My eyes are still puffy and swollen, and hurt a little when I blink. Still, having Lisa here, being able to cry and talk and laugh.
Novel drama, org holds text copyright rights. It's helped. A lot.
"Thank you for taking such good care of her," Lisa says earnestly, like an older sister more than a friend. Dr. Beaumont chuckles.
"Oh, it's my job."
And even if it wasn't, she leans in conspiratorially.
"No one tells." 13.20.
95 Ava Lisa, 2. Lucas know when it comes to Ava's care.
She's in the best hands here.
He's been overseeing my treatment and making sure I have the best of everything, and it's not a secret. Still, hearing it stated so plainly is embarrassing. "He really cares about you, you know," Dr. Beaumont continues, her voice softening. "I've never seen him so
worried."
Part of me is thrilled at the idea of Lucas caring so much. But another part, the part that's still raw and hurting from everything that's happened, is terrified of what that means. "I know, I manage finally. It's complicated." Dr. Beaumont nods in understanding. "Fated mate bonds always are. But from what I've seen, the two of you have something special. Don't let fear hold you back from exploring that." Lisa squeezes my hand, offering silent support. She knows better than anyone how conflicted I am about Lucas, about everything. "Well, I just wanted to check in and see how you were doing," Dr. Beaumont straightens, slinning back into
C.
95 Ava, Lisa, 2. Her professional demeanor. "Your vitals are perfect. I'm just here to check your wounds again. Without knowing the rate of healing acceleration, we'll have to check you at least twice a day to make sure everything's doing well. Sometimes, the wound heals too quickly and traps infection within, causing abscesses. It shouldn't be an issue with your antibiotics, but still something to keep an eye on." She slides on a pair of disposable purple gloves as she speaks. Lisa settles into the recliner by my bed, giving us space, but watching with worry creasing her brows. The doctor carefully peels back the dressings covering my neck and shoulders, her brow furrowing in surprise as she examines the skin beneath. "Well, would you look at that," she murmurs, tracing a finger along what I assume must be a scar. "These have healed remarkably well, Ava. They're a bit raised and discolored, but that's to be expected with such deep wounds. They might heal completely, but one can never tell with shifter wounds. The idea of carrying these scars, these permanent reminders of what Todd did to me, makes my skin crawl. I don't want any mark of him on my body." 95 Ava, Lisa, 2. Dr. Beaumont moves on to check the wounds on my abdomen, her eyebrows climbing even higher. "And these are nearly healed as well. At this rate, I'd say you'll be fully recovered by tomorrow." She glances up at me, curiosity bright in her eyes.
"Is this normal for you, Ava?
"Do you usually heal this quickly?" "I would say that your rate of healing was normal for a human until today." I shake my head, the truth hidden behind my denial.
"No," I admit softly.
"I've always healed normally. There's no reason to explain Celine's existence to anyone here. I still haven't spoken to Lucas about her, and I don't feel the urge to. Maybe in the future, if we can get over our past. But we aren't there yet. The doctor's face clouds with confusion, but she doesn't press the issue. Well, regardless, this is excellent news. You're well on your way to being discharged. Lisa perks up at that, a grin spreading across her face.
That's great.
You can come stay with me, Avenue. Your overprotective alpha has me in a nice apartment. 13.2905 Avenue, thus 710. Instead of a hotel. It'll be great. Dr. Beaumont hesitates, glancing between us. You'll have to take that up with Kellen, I'm afraid. He's in charge of Ava's security. Lisa doesn't miss a beat, whipping out her cell phone and dialing Kellen's number. I can only watch my heart in my throat as she launches into her request.
Hey, Kellen. It's Lisa.
Listen, can you bring a few things for Ava in the morning? She's going to need a cell phone, some clothes, and
pepper spray.
Definitely pepper spray. Even from across the room, I can hear Kellen's confused voice.
Pepper spray?
Why would she need dash? Because, Lisa cuts him off, exasperation dripping from her tone. I don't need anyone sniffing around and causing issues, okay? Just trust me on this. Girls need pepper spray. She gives me a stern look. I'm not going to argue with her. It would have come in handy recently, on a few occasions. There's a long pause, and then Kellen's voice again, still sounding baffled. Ava will have guards with her at all times. Lisa, she won't need nenner. Sorry, there are 95 Ava, Lisa, 2. Already guards stationed all over her hospital wing and by her door. That's news to me. Then again, I haven't left my room ever. Even when I was encouraged to go on a hallway walk, I refused and paced to my room instead.
Guards. Of course I have guards.
Because even now, even here, I'm not really free. I'm still a prisoner, just in a gilded cage instead of a dingy cell. Lisa argues with Kellen for a few more moments, but I tune out their words, my mind reeling. Dr. Beaumont, perhaps sensing the rising tension, quickly makes her
escape.
Well, this conversation is above my pay grade, she jokes weakly, edging toward the door. I'll get your discharge papers ready, Ava. You should be good to go. After breakfast tomorrow. And then she's gone, leaving me alone with Lisa and the weight of my new reality pressing down on my chest.
Guards. Constant surveillance.
No privacy, no
freedom.
Is this really what my life has come to? Trading one form of captivity for another? 95 Ava, Lisa, 2.
Plus 37.
I close my eyes, fighting back the sudden sting of tears. I should be happy. I'm alive, I'm safe, I'm surrounded by people who care about me. But all I feel is trapped, already suffocated by the expectations and obligations that come with being Lucas's mate.
I don't want guards.
I don't want to be watched and monitored and controlled. I just want to be normal, to live my life on my own terms.
To find me.
I managed that at Cedarwood, and I was happy there.
See.
Lucas still calls me every night, but Lisa had helped encourage me to text him yesterday, asking for space, at least until he returns to Westwood. I'm sure he gets hourly reports from all my guards, but at least I don't have to worry about playing nice when I'm starting to feel resentful and frustrated, despite knowing I should be grateful for being saved. I'm grateful to him for a lot. Having guards around should be a small price for all of this.
It's just hard. Welcome home.
Lisa exclaims as she flings open the door to her new apartment. When Lisa said that Lucas had settled her into an
apartment, I'd expected something. I don't know. Normal?
This is far from normal. The luxurious living room has been decorated in some sort of eclectic artistic mix of boho wall decor and minimalist furniture, leaving bright, wide-open spaces with bright splashes of color and texture on the walls.
1330. C. 96 Ava.
Life in Westwood, 1. Floor, 2 ceiling windows flood the space with natural light, framed by curtains I'm afraid to even touch. How can curtains look so expensive? A sleek kitchen gleams in the corner, all stainless steel appliances and marble countertops, with white cabinets that are going to be a terrible experience to keep clean. It's like the entire apartment was made with maid service in mind. Wow, I breathe, running my fingers along the back of the luxurious leather couch.
Lucas really went all out, didn't he?
But they don't hear me, because, well, they're still arguing. Lisa's voice rises, competing with the clatter of her heels against the hardwood as she storms after Kellen. We don't need a guard dog watching our every move in here. What, you think someone's going to scale 15 stories and bust through the window? I tune out Kellen's gruff response, focusing instead on the sprawling cityscape beyond the glass. Skyscrapers pierce the sky, glinting in the afternoon sun. Cars crawl along the streets below, tiny and insignificant. 96 Ava Life in Westwood, 1.
From this height,
People crowd the streets.
it's busy.
It's a world away from Cedarwood. From the novel grind and its cozy charm.
From the little apartment I'd made my own. From Celine.
My chest tightens at the thought of her. It's been so long since I've heard her voice in my head, felt her presence curled around my mind like a contented cat. I keep reaching for her, hoping to brush against the familiar warmth of her consciousness, but there's only silence.
A void where she should be.
My wounds had healed at such a rate that I truly expected to hear Celine in my head any day now, assuming it was a side effect of our bond. I'd hoped it meant Celine was getting closer, that she'd found a way to reach me despite the distance. But as the hours tick by with no sign of her, doubt begins to creep in. Insidious and cold.
What if something happened to her? What if she's hurt, or worse?
The thought makes my stomach twist, bile rising in my throat.
I can't lose her. She's a part of
15.30. 96 Ava, Life in Westwood, 1.
me now.
Her absence leaves me feeling only half myself. I press my forehead against the cool glass, squeezing my eyes shut as if I can will her into existence through sheer desperation. Please, Celine, I beg silently.
Please be okay.
I need you. But there's no answer, just the muted sounds of the city and Lisa's ongoing argument with Kellen. Don't care if he's the alpha, Lucas doesn't get to dictate every aspect of our lives. Lisa's voice cracks like a whip, jolting me out of my spiraling thoughts. Ava's been through enough. She deserves some goddamn privacy. Kellen's sigh is heavy, weighted with the responsibility he carries. Lisa, I understand your frustration. But Ava's safety is our top priority. We can't take any chances. Not all the Blackwoods are accounted for, and there's a good chance they'll be looking for her. The mention of my former pack has me shuddering. Thinking of Mom and Dad makes me want to vomit, but it's the memories of Todd's attack that flash behind my eyelids.
The phantom pain of his claws.
96 Ava Life in Westwood, 1. Raking across my skin, the way his teeth dug into my neck and shoulders. I never wanted to think about that odious little shit again, but his nightmares live in my head, rent-free.
Old taunts.
So many times he'd spent kicking me when I was already curled up on the floor, hands over my head, waiting for the torment of my pack members to end. Of the day I'd resolved to leave my pack. Of his nasty dick shoved into my mouth.
Shit.
I work at my jaw, fighting against the wave of nausea.
No, never again.
I'm not that scared, helpless girl anymore.
I survived. I fought back.
And I won't let anyone make me feel powerless again, not even the man who claims to be my mate. Kellen had mentioned that Lisa and I begin training tomorrow.
Self-defense and more.
I'm looking forward to it in a way that makes me almost want to shy away from the newly bloodthirsty urge in my soul, the one that wants to slaughter anyone who looks at me the
wrong way.
Almost dying will change a lot of things, I guess. Content is property copyright noveldrama.org. 1330. 96 Ava, Life in Westwood, 1. Slowly, I turn from the window, my gaze settling on Lisa and Kellen as they face off in the middle of the living room. Lisa's cheeks are flushed, her eyes bright with indignation, while Kellen looks like he's aged a decade in the span of their conversation. I appreciate your concern, I say quietly, my voice steady despite the emotions churning in my gut.
But Lisa's right. I need space to breathe, Kellen.
I can't live my life constantly looking over my shoulder. Kellen's brow furrows, his mouth opening as if to argue, but I hold up a hand to stop him. I'm not saying I don't want protection. I know the risks, and I'm grateful for everything you and Lucas have done to keep me safe. But there has to be a balance. I can't heal if I'm suffocating under the weight of my own security detail. Lisa nods emphatically, her hand coming to rest on my shoulder in a show of solidarity.
Exactly.
We're not saying no guards at all. Just not in the apartment. Give us some room to exist without being watched. Kellen drags a hand down his face, his shoulders sagging in defeat.
Fine, he grumbles.
No guards inside the apartment. But I'm posting them in the 1330. Less than 96 Ava Life in Westwood, 1. Hallway and the lobby. And you're not to leave without an escort, understand? It's not perfect, but it's a start. A small victory in the battle for my autonomy. I nod, relief loosening the knot in my chest.
Understood. Thank you, Kellen.
He grunts in acknowledgement, already turning to leave. I'll be back in the morning. Get some rest, both of you. And then he's gone, the door clicking shut behind him with a finality that feels strangely anticlimactic. Lisa lets out a whoosh of breath, her hand falling from my shoulder as she turns to face me. Well, that was fun, she deadpans, a wry smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. Nothing like a good old-fashioned pissing contest to welcome you home. I snort, shaking my head.
Home. Right.
My gaze drifts back to the window, to the unfamiliar skyline and the aching absence of Celine's presence. Feels more like just another prison. It's unfair to feel that way. I know it is. But I feel like I haven't been able to breathe in forever. Lisa's expression softens, her eaves shining with
1396 Ava, Life in Westwood, 1. Understanding.
I know, Avenue. But at least you're out of that house, right? We'll make it work. It won't be so bad here. I can already tell. She loops her arm through mine, tugging me towards the kitchen.
Now come on, I'm starving.
Let's see what kind of gourmet shit Lucas stocked this place with. Ava, Lisa, this is Jericho.
He's one of our most
experienced enforcers and will be overseeing your training. Kellen's introduction hangs in the air as I take in the man before me. Jericho's weathered face is a tapestry of scars, each one a story etched into his skin.
His
eyes, a piercing blue, seem to see right through me, assessing and calculating in equal measure, his scarred lip curling in disdain. I force myself to stand tall, to meet his stare head on. These are the whelps I'm meant to train? They look like they'd snap in a stiff breeze.
Kellen's jaw tightens. Jericho, mind your tongue.
Ava and Lisa are under the Alpha's protection. You will treat them with respect. Jericho snorts, a harsh sound in the tense air between
us.
The shifter's lip curls, exposing yellowed teeth. Respect is earned, not given.
They live or die by their
12.310. Less than 97 Ava, Life in Westwood, 2.
Own strength, not mine.
If they can't handle it, that's
not my problem.
They're under our Alpha's protection. Kellen grits out again, his patience clearly fraying. You just need to train them. Help them learn to defend themselves. The shifter snorts, a harsh, derisive sound that sets my teeth on edge.
Defend themselves?
Look at them, barely more than pups.
Soft. Weak. He spits the words.
Like they're poison on his tongue.
What's the point?
They'll be dead within a week out there. Kellen takes a step forward, his posture radiating menace. Let me make this clear, he says, his voice low and dangerous. Ava and Lisa's well-being is of the utmost importance to Alpha Lucas. If anything happens to them under your watch, you'll answer to him directly. Do you understand? For a moment, the shifter looks like he might argue, his scarred face twisting with disdain. But then he shrugs, a casual roll of his shoulders that does nothing to dispel the tension crackling in the air.
Fine.
But the Alpha should have better priorities. A real leader doesn't waste time coddling weaklings.
1331.
97 Ava, Life in Westwood, 1. Kellen opens his mouth to retort, but Jericho cuts him off with a sharp gesture.
Enough.
Leave the girls to me. I'll whip them into shape. With a last warning look, Kellen turns on his heel and stalks away, leaving Lisa and I alone with our new mentor. Jericho eyes us appraisingly, his gaze lingering on my still, healing wounds. Looks like you've seen some action already, he grunts, something like approval in his tone.
Good.
Means you might just survive what's coming. Lisa shifts uneasily beside me, her hand finding mine and squeezing. I glance at her, seeing my own apprehension reflected in her eyes. Whatever training Jericho has in store for us, it's not going to be pleasant. But then, nothing about my life has been pleasant lately. I squeeze Lisa's hand back, drawing strength from her presence. We'll get through this together. I meet Jericho's gaze head on, my chin lifting in silent challenge. We're ready, I tell him, my voice steady despite the fear coiling in my gut.
Teach us how.
He circles us slowly, his gaze raking over every inch of unspecified currency AVS Life in Westwood, 1. Our bodies like he's looking for weak spots to exploit. I feel exposed, vulnerable in a way that makes my skin
crawl.
So, he says finally, his voice a rough rasp. You're the ones the Alpha thinks are worth protecting. Can't say I see it myself, but orders are orders. He stops in front of me, his eyes boring into mine with an intensity that steals my breath. You ever even thrown a punch, girl? I lift my chin, refusing to be cowed. I've done what I had to do to survive, I say, my voice steady despite the fear thrumming through my veins. I'm not afraid to fight. He barks out a laugh, harsh and mocking. Fighting ain't just about throwing fists, girl. It's about instinct, about being willing to do whatever it takes to come out on top. His gaze flicks to Lisa.
Dismissive. And you?
You look like you'd faint at the sight of blood. Lisa flushes, her hands trembling at her sides. But she meets his stare head on, her voice only wavering slightly as she says, I may not be a fighter, but I'm not weak. I'll do whatever it takes to protect the people I care about. 97 Ava, Life in Westwood 2. The shifter's lips twist into a cruel smirk. Pretty words, but they don't mean shit out there. In the real world, it's kill or be killed. And right now, I wouldn't bet on either of you lasting more than a minute in a real fight. I swallow hard, my mouth gone dry.
He's right, of course.
For all my bravado, I'm woefully unprepared for the realities of this new world I've found myself in. But I refuse to let him see my fear, to let him think he's won before we've even begun. Then teach us, I say, my voice ringing with a conviction I don't quite feel.
Show us how to survive.
We're not afraid to learn, to do whatever it takes. The shifter stares at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he nods, a single, sharp jerk of his chin. All right then, girl. Let's see what you're made of. He takes a step back, his posture shifting into a loose, ready stance. Come at me with everything you've got. And don't hold back, because I sure as hell
won't.
Lisa looks at Jericho with her face scrunched up, her confusion clear. You mean just attack you?
Right now?
Just like that. C97 Ava, Life in Westwood 1. Jericho's scarred lip twists in a sneer. You expecting an engraved invitation, girl? In the real world, your enemies won't wait for you to be ready. They'll strike hard and fast, without warning. My heart pounds as he turns his piercing gaze on me. You think you got what it takes, little Missy Ava?
Then prove it.
Come at me with everything you've got. I've only ever defended myself, and even that was a recent development. Then now is a good time to learn.
Come on, girls. Don't lollygag about.
This is your life at stake.
Come at me.
Lisa charges at the shifter with a determined yell. He sidesteps her easily, grabs her arm, and uses her own momentum to send her sprawling to the ground.
Lisa!
I cry out as she shrieks in pain. Jericho turns to me, waiting, an expectant sneer on his scarred face. My mind races, trying to analyze the best approach. I lunge at him, feinting left before swinging right.
But he's too fast.
In a blur of motion, he has me pinned. Face, down on the MOT my arm Urano had ha hindmu. This is property copyright of noveldrama.org. 97 Ava, Life in Westwood 2.
Back. Again, he grunts, releasing me. Get up.
Both of you. Leave the first comment for this chapter. After several rounds of Jericho demanding we attack him, only for us to end up on the ground with new bruises every time, I collapse onto the dusty ground, chest heaving, lungs screaming for air. Sweat pours down my face, stinging my eyes. Lisa lies beside me, equally drenched, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Jericho looms over us, his scarred face impassive.
Pathetic.
You'd be dead the moment a wolf looked at.
You wrong.
I glare up at him, too winded to retort. He jerks his head, motioning for us to rise.
On your feet. Follow me.
Somehow, I stagger upright, my muscles trembling with exhaustion. Lisa groans as she pushes herself up, her face flushed and hair plastered to her forehead. Jericho leads us to the track, his stride purposeful. You're so weak, you'd probably break your necks running through the woods. From now on, 5 miles around this track every morning. I gape at him, but he's not finished. He rattles off a list. 1931 copyright noveldrama.org, all rights reserved. 98 Ava, Life in Westwood 3. Of exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, something called burpees, some lunges that I'm not entirely certain how to do without a visual, that we'll be doing daily to
build strength.
Lisa makes a noise of despair beside.
1. Me.
Jericho's piercing gaze finds mine. Alpha Westwood will be gone at least another month dealing with the Blackwood situation. Don't expect him to swoop in and save you. Something hot and defiant rises in my chest. I lift my chin, meeting his stare head on. I wouldn't want to be saved anyway. For the first time, a hint of a smile tugs at Jericho's lips. You've got guts, girl. Maybe there's hope for you yet. Lisa stares at the track, dejection dripping from her pores. How many times do we have to go around for 5 miles?
I shrug, just as clueless. No idea.
Jericho scoffs, his lip curling in disdain. I'm starting to think that's his default look.
Unbelievable.
You two are so sheltered you don't even know how to track.
See.
98 Ava Life in Westwood 3.
Distance.
It's not like I've had much opportunity for extracurricular sports, what with being locked away in a pack that didn't see any point in allowing any enrichment in my life. I bite my tongue, knowing any excuses will only earn me another scathing remark. Lisa, however, seems to have no such reservations. She plants her hands on her hips, glaring at Jericho. Well, excuse us for not being born with an innate knowledge of track and field. How about you enlighten us instead of standing there judging? For a moment, I think Jericho might actually snap at her. But then he barks out a laugh, shaking his head.
Fair enough.
12 laps around this track is roughly 5 miles. And before you ask, yes, I expect you to.
Keep count.
I eye the track, the red rubber seeming to stretch on forever.
12 laps.
My legs ache just thinking about it. But I straighten my spine, determined not to show weakness. If this is what it takes to become strong enough to protect myself, then so be it. 13.32. 98 Ava Life in Westwood, 3. Okay, I say, my voice steadier than I feel.
12 laps. It is.
Jericho nods, something akin to approval flickering in his eyes.
Good.
Now get to it. I'll be timing you. Lisa groans, but falls into step beside me as we start our first lap. The sun beats down on us, the air thick with humidity, but I push through the discomfort. Each step, each breath, is a reminder that I'm alive, that I survived. Stronger. I want to be stronger. I don't want to depend on anyone for rescue, ever.
Again.
I'm dying, Lisa moans, even though we've gone maybe
5 feet.
I suck in a breath, my lungs burning as they expand to hold in what little air I manage to gather.
Come on, Lise.
We've got this.
This is inhuman, she pants, her face flushed.
A laugh escapes me, turning into a wheeze.
Too much.
Oxygen used not enough coming in.
Shifters aren't.
98 Ava Life in Westwood, 3.
Human, anyway.
Lisa groans, and we both fall silent, the only sound our labored breathing and the pounding of our feet against the track.
I stumble. She stumbles.
It's inelegant, and I'm starting to think she's right about us dying. I already want a water break, and it's only been a minute since our feet hit the track. Jericho's voice booms from behind us.
You call that running?
My grandmother could outpace you, and she's been dead for a decade. My teeth grind together and I push myself harder, gasping at the effort. Jericho catches up, his strides
Effortless.
Breathe from your diaphragm, not your chest. And land on the balls of your feet, not your heels.
It'll make it easier.
The nasty glare I give him does nothing, because he doesn't even look at me to appreciate it. I adjust my breathing and stride, surprised to find it does help. Beside me, Lisa does the same.
I think I'm starting to like him, I mutter.
13-32. 98 Ava, Life in Westwood, 3.
Lisa snorts. I hate him. But
I think he might actually be good deep down. A laugh bursts from me, and Jericho's head snaps in our direction. Stop playing around like a bunch of girls and run like
men.
I am a girl. Lisa yells, indignant. Jericho's roar echoes across the track. You're nothing more than a recruit, so shut your yap and run. Lisa's jaw drops, but she clamps it shut and focuses on the track ahead. I hide a smile, pushing through the burn in my muscles. Jericho may be an asshole, but he's an asshole who's going to make us stronger. Every time we slow down, he's there to bitch at us until we bring up the pace. Every time we stumble, he's there to laugh. Every time we stop, he's there to scream in our ears.
So we run.
Keep your arms at a 90-degree angle, Jericho barks as we round the track again.
My lungs burn, a 13-12.
08 Ava, Life in Westwood, 3. Stitch in my side screaming with every stride. I can't, Lisa wheezes beside me, her face beet red. I'm dying. Did I ask for your opinion, recruit? Jericho's voice cracks like a whip. Elbows in, Blackwood.
You're not a chicken. Blackwood. She yelps. I'm human. My name is Lisa. Randall. Even worse.
I grit my teeth so hard my jaw aches. Sweat pours down my face, stinging my eyes. Every muscle in my body feels like it's on fire. I change my mind, Lisa pants, each word coming out in a ragged gasp.
He's not good deep down.
He's the fucking devil. Lucas's voice booms through the room, frustration palpable in every syllable. The scouts cower under his scrutiny, and I can't blame them. The Blackwood leaders have proven more elusive than any of us anticipated. I should be focused on the task at hand, strategizing our next move, but my mind drifts to Ava. Is she healing well? Has she found any measure of peace? After the trauma she's endured? Even though the mating bond didn't take, my wolf and I feel bonded toward her. It's one-sided and fragile, but it consumes my thoughts. I long to see her, to offer comfort and support. But Lucas guards any information about her whereabouts with a possessiveness that borders on obsession. I don't blame him, but after a week of knowing nothing, the frustration is getting to me. As the meeting concludes, Lucas and I make our way back to the Alpha's house.
The promise of paperwork.
100 Clayton, clashing alphas, and hacked computer files looms ahead, a necessary evil in our quest for answers. Yet, even as I try to center my thoughts on the investigation, Ava's face flickers through my mind. I glance at Lucas, wondering how to broach the subject of contacting her. His jaw is set, eyes hard with determination. I know he sees me as a threat, a rival for Ava's affections.
And perhaps I am.
Everything I feel toward her is undeniable, something I've never felt toward a woman before. It's like a whisper of fate that I
can't ignore.
And yet I'm not the one she's fated for. I don't want to come between them, not if Ava has truly chosen Lucas.
I respect her choices, her autonomy.
Still, the fact that she hasn't fully committed to him, that she hasn't borne his mark, and that he doesn't have hers, gives me a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance for us. I take a breath, preparing to voice my request, but the words die on my tongue. Lucas's posture is rigid, his eyes fixed ahead. 100 Clayton clashing alphas. Now isn't the time. I need to tread carefully, to find the right moment to express my desire to see Ava without igniting Lucas's ire. So, what's our next move? Lucas's voice cuts through my reverie, his gaze piercing. I try to shove thoughts of Ava to the back of my mind, focusing on the task at hand. We've been over this 1,000 times, Lucas. My voice is steady despite the turmoil within. We don't know anything. Our best bet is that Renard is going to try to come back, to take his wolves back. The integration of the Blackwood pack into Westwood has been a tumultuous process, to say the least. While many have embraced the change, seeking a fresh start and a more stable future, there are those who cling to their old loyalties. Interestingly, the division seems to fall along gender lines. The men, proud and stubborn, struggle to let go of their ties to Renard Blackwood.
I can sense their
unease, their resistance to this new reality. Men were superior in the Blackwood pack. That is not true of Westwood, Aspen, or any of the surrounding large packs, where male and female live with relative. 100 Clayton, clashing alphas.
Equality.
The men remain rogue, unsworn to any alpha.
But the women?
They surprise me. In a society where a female's loyalty is expected to lie with her mate above all else, these she-wolves are breaking the mold. They gather their cubs close, eyes bright with determination as they step forward to pledge their allegiance to the Westwood pack. It's a sight that would be unthinkable in most shifter communities. A female, leaving her mate behind to join a new pack? It goes against every tradition, every deeply ingrained expectation.
Novel drama or content rights.
We've had to keep several of their mates separated and under guard, for the safety of their own families. And yet, here they are, ready to forge a new path for themselves and their young. I can only imagine the strength it takes, the courage to break free from the constraints of the past. Lucas sighs, frustration evident as he runs his hands through his hair. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken tension. Then out of nowhere he speaks.
Ava asked for space.
100 Clayton, clashing alphas. I haven't been able to talk to her in days. My heart stutters in my chest, a flicker of hope igniting before I can quash it. Guilt follows swiftly on its heels. I shouldn't feel this way, shouldn't want what isn't
mine.
Lucas mutters under his breath, his words barely audible. I want to kill you every time I see you. He meets my gaze, eyes flashing with barely restrained anger. But I don't want to upset Ava.
I swallow hard, unsure how to respond.
The air between us is charged, dangerous.
Are you truly not bonded?
Lucas asks, his voice low and deadly. I hesitate, knowing my answer could be the spark that ignites the powder keg. But I can't lie, not about this. I tried to mark her, I admit, my voice barely above a whisper.
But it didn't take.
Lucas's reaction is instantaneous. He lunges at me, a snarl ripping from his throat as his wolf takes over. I barely have time to brace myself before he collides. With me mid-shift, all fury and feral possessiveness. My own wolf surges to the surface, forcing a shift. 100 Clayton clashing alphas. Roar tearing from our throat as we tumble across the ground in a tangle of fur and fury. Claws rake against my flank, drawing blood. I retaliate with a vicious bite, my jaws clamping down on his foreleg. The taste of copper floods my mouth. Distantly, I hear shouts of alarm, the pounding of footsteps. But no one dares to intervene. They know better than to get between two alphas locked in battle. We clash again and again, a whirlwind of snarls and snapping teeth. The world narrows to this moment, to the primal need to assert dominance, to prove my
worth, to lay our claim.
Vester's shout cuts through the haze of rage and bloodlust. Ava's on the phone. Those simple words are enough to bring us back to ourselves. In an instant, fur recedes, bones shift, and we stand as men once more, chests heaving, blood dripping from our wounds. But the physical pain is nothing compared to the ache.
My heart. Ava.
The thought of her, reaching out. In 100 Clayton, clashing alphas. After days of silence, is enough to bring me to my
knees.
I meet Lucas's gaze, seeing my own desperation mirrored there. In this moment, we are not rivals but two men bound by our love for the same woman. Vester approaches us cautiously, holding out the phone like a peace offering. I reach for it, my hand trembling, and Lucas lets me.
Right.
She'd asked for space, he won't reach out, because he's scared of hurting her.
Ava.
My voice is hoarse, barely above a whisper.